Welcome to the Loving Support WIC Peer Counseling Training Program for WIC managers, coordinators, and supervisors. This training has been developed through a cooperative agreement between the USDA Food and Nutrition Service and Every Mother, Inc. It is designed to help state and local WIC agencies implement and sustain successful peer counseling programs that help participants in the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for women, infants, and children receive the help they need to reach their breastfeeding goals. The training program for WIC Peer Counseling Program managers, coordinators, and supervisors provides program guidance based on the FNS Loving Support model, research on the evidence behind peer counseling, best practices adopted by state and local WIC agencies across the country, and solutions to address common challenges. State and local agency showcases are also included to highlight successful strategies. The curriculum is divided into 10 major sections. Each section is important for training new managers and for staff in existing programs to assure continued best practices in program management. Each section has an accompanying notebook and handouts. Feedback from participants during in-person training indicated the notebook was an extremely valuable resource. Both the notebook and handouts are accessible on the Maryland WIC SharePoint website. Please print each notebook section and the handouts prior to viewing the webinars so that you can follow along, take notes, and reference handouts as they are discussed. Welcome to Section 10, Retaining Peer Counselors. For a local agency, hiring, training, mentoring, and supervising peer counselors is a time-consuming endeavor. When that investment results in peer counselors leaving the program, it is frustrating and costly. This section examines reasons peer counselors leave and best practices for retaining them. Many of the ideas and suggestions in this section are a review of best practices for successful peer counseling programs we have discussed in previous webinars. This illustrates the success of implementing a peer counseling program using the evidence-based Loving Support model. At the end of this webinar, WIC managers will be able to identify at least 3 strategies for retaining peer counselors. Peer counselors typically love their jobs and feel their work is a true labor of love. Many peer counselors report they would be happy if nothing about the program changed. However, the reality is that many do not stay with the program after a time. This can pose frustrations for program managers. This section will examine some key reasons peer counselors leave and strategies to build retention so that peer counselors can continue to contribute to the program. It is realistic that a certain degree of staff turnover is to be expected. Peer counselors who remain with the program for a very long time may no longer be viewed as peers by WIC participants. In some of these cases, if the peer counselor has the required educational background, she can be considered for management or other roles where her skills and expertise can continue to be used in WIC. Turnover will also occur as peer counselors decide to launch a new career, as their children grow, and as family needs change. Although dealing with staff turnover can be frustrating, it is helpful to see the positive aspects, which often indicate program success. Peer counselors often grow professionally in many ways through their work with WIC. Learning new job skills empowers them as members of the healthcare team and develops them professionally in ways that ready them for new job challenges. Many peer counselors go on to become full-time WIC staff, attend nursing school, enroll in dietetic programs, or pursue other service occupations. Peer counselors who leave the WIC program often continue to provide breastfeeding information and support within their community to neighbors, family, and friends. Because they have been educated and trained, they are now in the community providing accurate information and support. Despite the reality of natural turnover, it is important for program managers to do all they can to minimize turnover by creating an environment where peer counselors are valued and are able to continue growing their skills. This is an important management issue when funds are limited. Replacing and retraining new peer counselors is costly for programs and can leave a program with gaps in service. Many WIC peer counselors love their job and believe it is a dream job for them. If the WIC peer counseling job is such an ideal job, why do they leave? Low wages. This is a special equity concern for WIC agencies. Many of our peer counselors move into other health department jobs that pay more. Burnout. The demands of the job can lead to burnout if peer counselors do not feel that their contributions are appreciated by the WIC clinic staff, find their work monotonous. For example, they are only following pregnant women or only making cold calls by telephone. Become discouraged when mothers do not choose to breastfeed or have no opportunity for personal growth. Isolation. When peer counselors do not feel they are part of the WIC staff team, it is easy to feel as though they are working in a vacuum, disconnected from the program. When several of these factors are combined with the challenge of balancing work with the needs of family, peer counselors can easily feel discouraged. This is why face-to-face networking opportunities are important to help peers remain involved. Some peer counselors leave for reasons beyond WIC's control. Stressful personal lives. Some peer counselors say their own stressful personal lives make working as a peer counselor difficult. They may lack family support for the job. Financial pressure may force them to get a second job to supplement their hours or seek employment elsewhere. Childcare and transportation costs might make it difficult for them to come to the clinic regularly. The job is not a good fit. Some peer counselors will come into the job with unrealistic expectations of what the job will be like. Some are passionate about breastfeeding, but find that it is more difficult than they expected to talk with women they do not know. Seek other opportunities. Often peer counselors leave because they are returning to school or want to take a job in another capacity. The Loving Support Model states participation in clinic staff meetings as part of the WIC team. Peer counselors stay in an environment that feels supportive of breastfeeding and of peer counselors. Successful programs find that a solid base of support within both WIC and the community are crucial to retaining peer counselors. A WIC clinic environment that openly promotes and supports breastfeeding and the peer counseling program speaks volumes to mothers and reinforces peer counselor support. Staff should work with peer counselors to identify clinic improvements that can improve the perception of support among new mothers. Peer counselors should attend regular WIC staff meetings as a member of the WIC Circle of Care serving new families. This helps peer counselors remain connected to the clinic staff and reminds them of their role as part of the team. It also helps them stay abreast of clinic activities and events so they can support the work of the team. Some agencies ask peer counselors to present information on breastfeeding at staff meetings. The Loving Support Model states peer counselors must have regular, systematic contact with supervisor. The importance of mentoring and supervising peer counselors was discussed in webinar section 9. Supervisors who stay in touch with peer counselors are more likely to pick up on issues that might arise before peer counselors get frustrated and feel they need to leave the program. Regular contact between supervisors and peer counselors maintains connections and strengthens relationships that build retention. Supervisors should keep in mind an employee's need for job satisfaction. Jobs that are monotonous, for example, only making cold calls by telephone, leave little opportunity for professional growth and can lead to job dissatisfaction. Overwhelming a peer counselor with too many responsibilities can also be frustrating and stressful. Systematic contact with peer counselors helps identify their thoughts and feelings about the job and ways to make it more satisfying. Peer counselors say they are more likely to remain with their WIC job when their supervisors are sensitive to their personal situations and allow them the opportunity to work a flexible schedule that respects family needs. Sensitivity to personal situations includes provisions for childcare and trainings, staff meetings and work situations, providing a pumping room at breastfeeding workshops, etc. Peer counselors appreciate supervisors who help them make their job more manageable. The Loving Support Model states adequate compensation and reimbursement of peer counselors. Programs that pay peer counselors adequately are more likely to retain them. Having a career ladder program with different roles and responsibilities and higher salaries have been found to improve buy-in and retention. Maryland WIC offers a senior peer counselor job description and training to assist local agencies in retaining peer counselors by moving them into a mentorship role. Some senior peer counselors assist in training new peer counselors. New senior peer counselors and act as leaders and facilitators during peer counselor meetings. Be honest and realistic with peer counselors about these advancement opportunities. If job advancement opportunities are limited, let them know what to expect. The Loving Support Model states peer counselors need opportunities for continuing education and to meet regularly with other peer counselors. Opportunities for personal and professional growth are critical elements of any job satisfaction program. Continuing education. Peer counselors are more passionate about breastfeeding and often want to learn more. Give them opportunities to grow their knowledge and skills to keep them excited and to help them keep their skills evidence-based. Set realistic expectations with peer counselors. Remind them that as they increase their knowledge and skills through continued learning, they must still remain within their scope of practice, even if their job role shifts to greater areas of responsibility. Breastfeeding promotion activities. Peer counselors often assist with World Breastfeeding Week activities. They assist with local clinic breastfeeding promotional activities, such as baby showers, setting up a breastfeeding room in the WIC office, creating breastfeeding-themed bulletin boards, and other activities. They often participate in local breastfeeding coalitions to assist with special community projects and to network with other advocates. These activities provide variety to their job, help strengthen the bond between peer counselors and their clinic team, and give them a sense of common purpose. Just as new mothers value having a peer to help them with breastfeeding, peer counselors also value having access to other peers working in the same role. Maryland WIC holds 2 in-person peer counselor meetings a year as an opportunity for peer counselors to get to know one another and share experiences and job tips. Peer counselors often build lifetime friendships with other peer counselors. When strong relationships are built, it helps keep peer counselors engaged with the program. WIC agencies that celebrate successes are able to maintain a positive environment and energy for moving forward. Keep track of breastfeeding data to share with peer counselors and colleagues. Use this data to praise peer counselors and show them how they are making a difference. Have a party periodically when new milestones are accomplished, at peer counselor graduations, when peer counselors are ready to move into a more advanced position, or when positive feedback is received from WIC mothers about the program. Give peer counselors public kudos. Being recognized in front of peers is gratifying and helps peer counselors feel valued. This concludes Section 10, Retaining Peer Counselors. Section 10 is the last webinar in our series. We hope you have enjoyed this opportunity to learn more about the Loving Support model for successful peer counseling programs. Thank you for your participation in Loving Support peer counselor training for WIC managers, coordinators, and supervisors.